Hello everyone. We are here today with the CEO and founder of Nordic Laboratories, Chris Moore. We're having our first training in Azerbaijan on functional test and given information on functional supplements. And welcome to Azerbaijan, Chris.
Thank you very much.
This is your first time here, actually. We've known Chris from Viva La Vida Congress that we had last year. Chris, could you please tell us a little about Nordic Laboratories and how you came up with the functional test, because you're one of the pioneers and ideologists on preventive and functional medicine in the world, and we're really honored to have you.
Thank you very much. This evolving movement with what we've termed functional medicine started in the late 80s, early 90s, with the recognition that the modern methodology of looking at disease was failing. People were getting sicker and not benefiting from the late 20th century interventions. So we had to have a rethink about how to address really the healthcare challenges. And that started by the comprehension that every individual has a different biochemistry and immunology, and so we started looking at those markers that were not in themselves disease specific but rather biologically independent. The idea of these measuring this way, we understand the individuality of the person. That's the key bit, and the test that we developed together with partners all over the world has been around understanding before, or really what underlies the symptom. What is the cause of the problem? Can we identify it in biology? And if so, how do we then address it? So functional medicine really is that. It's looking at the individuality of the patient to understand their underlying problem and then to find the interventions. As we progress into the 21st century, what we're really trying to do is build resilience in people by understanding even earlier, and that's how genetics comes into it, because the genetic aspect allows that pure individuality, and as a company we wanted to provide all those aspects to allow us to understand that patient better and help doctors in early intervention.
Thank you. And how do you think the functional tests can affect, and what effect does it have on daily lifestyle and basically any dietary or other recommendations like concerning the functional medical approach?
From a genetic perspective, we're 99.9% identical, all of us, and yet that little 0.1% has such a dramatic impact in how each of us perform separate to the next one, that we have to address that. So understanding our own genetics helps us understand how the environment might interact, and in doing so we can make subtle changes to that individual. Once we have that information, for example, there are certain genes that indicate that we have a challenge in what's called methylation. Methylation is a very important part of our bodies. It's the engine room of how we function, and if that's not functioning optimally, then we're going to be in trouble. So the genetics can indicate we might have a problem. Then we do what we call the functional tests to look at, okay, is that problem really being played out? And we look at these tests in a different way than we did before. So we're looking at these markers that indicate a block or being pushed down the wrong channel, and can we change that by dietary intervention? So once you've got that data, you say, okay, we need to change your lifestyle, change your diet, you need to change your exercise, you might have to do stress management, from anything from meditation to yoga. You might utilize extremes like cold immersions to change the way your body is reacting. So it's a combination. You don't just do the test without doing the interaction or the changes of diet. And it's that which has caused, I think, the biggest challenge to us, because in the 20th century medicine, it's can I have the pill that will solve my problem? Yeah. By the time we hit the 21st century, you realize that's not going to happen, and we have to get the patients understanding how they function and make them change, because they're the only ones that can, and that starts with diet. We need a reset in the way we go in the medical world.
I know that you have the test called Grow Baby, and it's the famous concept, the chicken or the egg. So how the Grow Baby test can help the mothers that want to have healthy children or healthy partners, etc. Like, what's the role of it?
It's a very good question and a good observation. I mean, it is that chicken and egg thing. The first time ever we can influence the egg. So we don't have to wait for the chicken. We can actually begin the process of changing the impact of the child's development in utero and even before conception. And we do that by looking predominantly at the mother's genes, because she's the one who's going to carry the child. Understanding her genetic impact with the environment then helps us understand how she can carry her child properly without the otherwise stresses that might occur. So that's the power of genetics. We can really change the development of a child as a fetus so that it becomes, when born, more robust and resilient against infections. And in our study that we did at the University of Las Vegas, we took 100 pregnant women in a state where they have 11% preterm birth rates. And not only did we reduce that to 1%, which is staggering, really staggering. It's a simple, really simple intervention, i.e. identify the genetics, change the diet and lifestyle, and you will reduce preterm birth rates from 11% down to 1%. But we also help deliver children of normal weight, which is, so you have a child born to term at normal weight, two of the biggest mitigators of all cause mortality during life. So we shouldn't underestimate the challenge of the 21st century, where more and more children are born preterm. We have to address that. But equally, if we can help that mother get that child to term, the next logical step is that once the child is born, we can measure their genetics. So they're going to be individual. They're going to be different than their mother, they're different than their brother or sister and their father, but they will have their unique gene set that we need to respond to immediately to help them develop quicker and more stronger than ever before.
You mentioned about fathers, so you also have the Dutch test. Do fathers have to, for instance, take the hormonal Dutch test? Like, is it?
Absolutely. I mean, the differences between male and females isn't that great. We all have an endocrine system that has hormones that are functioning at different levels. Obviously, in men, we have a greater level of testosterone, but we also have estrogens. We also have a DHEA, and these are important hormones and in a cascade, and we have to make sure we're metabolizing them properly. So men need to do hormone tests as much as women do.
Oh. And of course you also have supplements, which I personally take them every day as well.
Good.
And what is your favorite supplement, and can you give us like a little overview?
Well, I started taking supplements actually in the mid-1980s, so that dates me a little bit. And it also shows that I've been doing it a long time. The supplements is not a week thing, it's not a month thing, it's a lifetime thing. Yep. And I take really many every day in different forms, but I really take a lot. So you can't say, where's my go-to supplement, without that go-to supplement being part of your everyday life. But to answer your question, the one supplement I would take every day are nucleotides. And the nucleotides are the building block of DNA. They help the replication of DNA, so you have a healthier replication. I'm not saying that if you don't have the right balance that it's a cancer driver, but it's logical that if you have the right balance, you will reproduce better. Secondly, these nucleotides play a very important role in protein synthesis. So it allows us to utilize the amino acids in the body quicker and more effectively to build better protein. Thirdly, they line the gut system to help to boost immunity. And all these three areas really are very unknown for most people. I mean, if you ask the majority of doctors working in functional medicine, do they prescribe nucleotides? The answer is no. but that's because they haven't read the literature properly, because it's incredibly important.
Another question, since this is preventive medicine, can these tests and supplements help us identify or prevent from very serious diseases like cancer and Alzheimer and so on?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, so those two diseases are driven by lifestyle. Cancer rates are going through the roof. Obesity rates are going through the roof. Type 2 diabetes.
So Chris, another question to you. Can these functional tests and supplements help prevent such serious diseases as Alzheimer, diabetes, cancer?
Absolutely. They're all lifestyle diseases. They've been driven by changes in the way we live our lives. We become more sedentary, we eat more, we eat the wrong calories, etc. And our biology is changing, but we can reverse that. And we do that by monitoring. And if you do early enough early enough exams to assess where we're going, then you can prevent it for sure.
And where is the future of healthcare going as we are in 2024?
I think that what we have in our hands now is a generational change. We're able to measure our genetics. That gives us our underlying understanding of how we perform. We then have an ability to assess what we call our functional status. If we're looking at things like vitamin D, make sure it's in the right level. If we're looking at fatty acids, make sure we have the right omega-3s. If we're looking at our gut health, we need to make sure we have the right probiotics and the right environment from which our bodies can be resilient against the disease manifestations that are out there. But if we combine all these things, the human is incredibly strong, and we will live longer, healthier, and more resilient lives.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you so much. We have all these tests and supplements from Nordic Laboratories here at Azerbaijan World Wellness Academy, and Chris Moore will be having more trainings, and he will be visiting us more often to provide you with more information. Bye.